I'm trying to see if more people hopped on. I hopped on a little late because I just finished up with the client. So. Good evening, Miss Khadijah Creations. Where are you located? Oh, woo woo. Hey, Florida. I'm trying to get back out there to bring my kids back to Disney World. So, how's the weather out there? It's snowing out here in Wisconsin, unfortunately, in April. Hey! Hey, Mr. Mosley 17. Where are you at? Okay, woo woo, North Carolina. All right. I got family in Charlotte. It's been good. It's today is oh, I'm jealous. 60-degree weather. Yeah, I'd rather have rain than snow. So hopefully the snow doesn't last too long. But you know, oh, temperature. Oh, did it? Oh. But you guys don't have snow. Okay, in Durham. Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. I was trying to wait for a few more people to hop on because I hopped on a little later because my session with a client ran a little longer. But I'm going to get started if you're okay with that. So I'm talking about how to battle negative thinking. And so 60,000, we have 60,000 thoughts per day, and 95% of them repeat each day. And out of the 95%, 80% of them that are repeated thoughts are negative thoughts. And you know, negative thinking is something that we all have. I don't have like a magic wand to make people no longer have negative thoughts. Even myself, as a clinician, it's a daily battle with me correcting my negative thoughts. And so even with the negative thoughts, when we get too engulfed into them, it's almost like a mental prison in our head that we have. And sometimes people try to avoid the negative thoughts, right? Or just suppress them through getting really busy with different things, or drowning their sorrows, whether you are self-medicating some form of fashion, using drugs or alcohol, because you don't want to hear your own thoughts and tackle those things, or through diversions and things of that nature. And many people beat themselves up for only being still stuck in that mindset. But you know what? It's something that you have to do on a daily basis. And one of those ways is being able to recognize and acknowledge those thoughts when they come into play. And so even for me, myself, when I have those negative thoughts that come into my mind, I have to take a second to be like, wait a minute, let me stop and let me reframe that. Like, I am good enough. I am worth this. I do have something to say. Now, last Mindful Monday, I talked about how to battle fear. And one of my fear things was doing more lives and more video things, because I had a fear of that. And my fear just stemmed from me feeling like I don't have anything of value to say to people, or to share things with them. But I know that is far from the truth. Like, I do have things to share and to say that is of value to people. And so there are several different types of negative thinking processes, and one of them could be the anxious and the worry type, and that's where we're always thinking in the what if thing. So like, what if that doesn't go well, right? Or what if this relationship isn't how I dreamed it to be, or what if my children don't do well in this, or what if I don't get that job or that promotion, right? And when we constantly are in that state of what ifs, that will stress you out. And one thing you guys know, if you've been following my page, I've been posting something each day to reduce stress. And you know, when we have anxiety and worry constantly, that is stress producing. And so in that instant, what we think with our negative thoughts can also produce the stress in our lives. And so I'm not going to say just automatically think yourself positive. Like, you have to do more than that. You have to do the work and things. And so another type of negative thought is that criticism and beating yourself up. And so that is whether we're like, you know what, I know I'm not good enough, or you know what, I shouldn't have done that because I knew that was going to happen anyway. Like, that wasn't going to work out how I wanted it to be. And so those things align with our self-worth and our self-esteem. And again, those type of negative thought patterns produces depression and anxiety. And again, when we have those things, because we're so caught up in it and constantly going over in our own mind, that can lead us to being stressed out. And again, when we are stressed out, we're not able to think right. Our mind seems really foggy and bogged down. I know for me, just like last week, I had a moment, don't be alarmed, y'all. I had a moment where I was just like, you know, I don't think I'm good enough at doing what I'm doing. And you know, just all that negative self-talk that I was feeding to myself. But I had a moment where I was just like, you know what? That is so not true. That I am enough. I am more than enough. I have stuff to say to people. And again, it's reinforcing what I know about me and to not give into those negative thought processes. And so sometimes with the low self-esteem and things like that, people can compensate too with their achievements or their goals and wanting to do things of that nature and attach their self-worth to things rather than who they really are at the core. And again, when you don't get those external gratifications, right, that feeds into how you already think about yourself. And so again, breaking that negative thought pattern is really to take ownership of who you are and whose you are, you know, and not to get too preachy and things like that for people. But I do believe in God. And so for me, I know I'm a child of God. I know what his word says about me. And I believe that, and it's reinforcing that to myself on a daily basis. Sometimes we ruminate over bad choices, right? So like, we be like, oh man, like that was like the worst decision ever in life. Like, or if I would have done this, or if I would have waited to have my children later on in life, or if I would have taken this job over that job. And now when we get into that place where we're looking back on situations, and it's not looking back on it to grow from it, but just to be like, to reinforce, you know what, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I was stupid for doing that. We can get stuck. And now we're no good. We're no good at reaching those goals we've all set out on those vision boards. And those deadlines we're trying to crunch by 30, 35, things like that. We're no good. And so coming out of that, you have to be mindful to know, when I'm looking back on something, you know, everything happens for a reason. And for me, I don't like to necessarily say mistakes. I like to say missteps, because missteps are those things, right, that we try to learn along the way, and we might make some bumps along the road. But mistakes are more of those regrets, and you wish you wouldn't have done that and things like that, right? But everything in life is a lesson. And in that lesson, it is a blessing along the way of some sort. And so just even reframing that when you're looking back on situations, and not to say that you don't ever look back to be like, okay, you know what, last time I did X, Y, and Z. This time, because I did X, Y, and Z, that happened. So I'm going to do A, B, and C. So I'm not saying not to do that, but what I'm saying that we should avoid doing is looking back just to beat ourselves up about decisions we've made. Because I'm guilty of it. I know y'all are guilty of it. And you know, when was the last time that you thought about a situation where you were like, you know what, I messed up. I can't believe I did that. Like, I'm so horrible and I'm so stupid for doing that. Like, we've all been there. We've all done that. But now it's time for us not to look back on it as something that is necessarily a bad thing, but just learn from it and grow from it. Oh, and not having enough, right? Because we get into that mindset of, I love that. You have to go through it to grow from it. Yes, I definitely love that. And I'm a firm believer in that. And another thing is not having enough, right? Because we get so caught up in like, man, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough credit to get what I need. Or I'm not smart like that person is. I don't have as much know-how to move and groove within this business realm or this educational realm of things. Like, again, you know, us not having enough ties back to our self-esteem and our confidence in ourselves. And so we focus on what we don't have. You get stuck in that negative cycle of thinking about, I don't have this, I don't have that, I will never have this, I will never have that. And forget what you actually do have that you can do stuff with. And so that is another form of negative thinking. Let's see. Oh, and of course, when we focus on the problem, of course, that just increases the depression, the irritability, the frustration, and negative self-talk about yourself and in your relationships. Because that stuff can overspill in your relationships. So it's not just coming to fruition in your life, but when you're with your friends and things like that, like some of that stuff can start to filter out where you're just so negative about things. And I know we all got that one friend that every time they come around, you be like, you know what? I really don't want to talk to them right now because they gonna be a Debbie Downer. I used to talk to this one guy. Hopefully he's not listening or watching this, but you know. And every time I would talk to him, it was something negative. And I would be like, all right, like, so don't nothing good happen ever in life? Like, literally every conversation, it's something negative. And, you know, we fell out of touch by now. But, you know, even now, like, every time he connects with me, it's still the same thing. And I'm just like, you was the same way like 2 years ago. But again, when we're stuck in our negative mindset, it's hard to move forward and think about the positive things in life, especially when we are not feeding our spirit those positive things, right? Because what we take in, we put out. And so again, you're looking at what do you have around you that is feeding your negative thought processes, you know, and sometimes for me, because, you know, I love my ratchet TV and whatnot and all that good stuff. But sometimes too much of it can reinforce the me not having enough, not feeling like I'm enough. And so then it's like, what have I been doing this week? Oh, I haven't really been meditating and saying my positive affirmations. Okay, I really need to do that. I haven't been praying like I need to. Okay, I need to be doing that. Like, and you have to reshift that energy to focus more on the positive stuff. Because again, it's not just simple as saying like, oh, I'm gonna just think myself positive, but we gotta actually do the work behind it and doing the work on a daily basis. And it's not, oh, this week, you know what, I feel great, so I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing, the meditation, the praying, the positive affirmations, you know, checking my thoughts at the door because you're feeling great. We've all been there, but this is a daily struggle that we all have to battle with. But you have to do the work if you're ready to move forward. So you have to really change your mindset, but also change what you're feeding yourself too, because that comes out what we think as well. So practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness is just a way of us to just get really centered and connected to our bodies. And we can do that through meditation. And so I actually wrote an article, and I'll like relink it to this some kind of way. It's in my bio. So if you click my bio, the article I wrote about meditation is in there, and how it just helps us to be one with our body. And when we are mindful, we are more aware and more present in the now. And so we are more in tune with our body. And so for me, because I do practice mindfulness daily, because I'm doing it all the time with clients, with my own kids. And so it's constantly reinforced in my life. And so I notice when I'm getting stressed, because my body will start to feel hot. I notice when the negative thoughts try to pop in, and I have to check it at the door to be like, nope, I'm not going down there. I'm not acknowledging that. I'm not going to give that thought this energy, because again, we may not necessarily be able to control the thoughts that pop in our head necessarily, right? But we can control which ones we give the energy to. Let's see, what else? And just reinforcing, create techniques that will help you battle those negative thoughts. So create a game plan. I'm big for people when, business owners, whoever, you have your business plan, or even people in school, you have your educational plan and things like that. I'm big for people having a mental wellness plan, right? Because in order for us to be successful in each of those things, our mind has to be sound and solid. And one of those is just feeding our mind the good things. So those positive affirmations, exercising, nutrition, sorry, y'all. Look, I just lost my train of thought. Gratitude. So when we are just thankful, right, for what we have, and just having and finding that joy, that contentment in our life, right? Because I know people are big on I'm happy and things like that. But what I always tell people though is happiness is usually extended from something external happening. And so really you want that joy. That joy is that contentment that regardless of whether I get this job or not, of course you're going to be excited, right? Because you got the job, or you got the car, you got the house, whatever. But even if you don't get those things, you will still have that joy and that contentment with what you have. And so again, showing that gratitude, that helps battling negative thoughts as well. Trying to think. So when those negative thoughts do come into play, I always tell people, have people ask themselves, is it helping you or is it hindering you? And so you got to be conscious of that. And so for me, when I do have those negative thoughts pop in immediately, and it seems like my mind just can't get off of it, it's like, okay, well, is this thought helping me or hindering me? And it's hindering me. So there you go. Because again, we may not necessarily control all the thoughts that pop into our brain, but we can control the ones that we give the energy to. Let's see. Yes. And so just to leave you guys with the quote I usually say all the time, if you've heard me say it on podcasts and things like that, our thoughts are the seeds of actions. Actions become habits. So what habits are you seeding? And so I just want to leave you guys with that. If there are no questions, and thank you guys for tuning in with me to talk about negative thinking. And if you want to share how you battle your own negative thinking, I would love to hear that as well. So thank you guys. Yes.